Okay, welcome guys to the next Blender tutorial. So today we're going to be making a bottle for mouthwash. So let's go ahead and delete the default cube real quick. I just find that making small projects like this can help when you're making props in bigger places, because then you can just kind of put the props into your designs. So let's go ahead with a cylinder. I don't usually start with a cylinder, but... Sorry, I just clicked spacebar by accident there. I don't usually start with a cylinder, but to be honest with you, with this project, it is kind of more needed than the rest of them that we do. So let's go ahead and shade this cylinder smooth right here. Let's go to render. We'll switch Eevee out for cycles, and we're going to go with edit mode. Take the top right here, and we'll go E for extrude. Bring this up. I'll go through side view for you guys, and then I'll do like kind of a 3D look so you guys can see what's going on. Just get rid of this. Okay, so once we've got this, we're gonna E for extrude straight up, S for scale just to pull this in, E for extrude again, S for scale, and then we're gonna go E for extrude, S for scale just to make the neck of the bottle, E for extrude, kind of come up just a little bit, S for scale inwards, and then we're going to go E for extrude to bring this straight up. And this is the point where you can add a screw if you'd like to. So if we do E for extrude, S for scale, and then we can kind of put this part on. So right here you can do a screw kind of modifier if you want to. I will show you how to do that in a moment. What I'm going to do is just make this a little bit smaller, because if we do that screw modifier, we need the space. So let's go ahead and just make that just ever so slightly smaller. We'll go ahead and take the top of the bottle right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make the inside, so to speak. So let's go E for extrude, and we'll make that little lip around the outside. E for extrude again, leave it where it is, scale it in. So you should have, if I just come here, this little kind of embossing just here. So let's go with E for extrude, bring this in slightly, scale this in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it like that at the moment because we haven't done the base. So when we do the base, I'm just going to press G, bring this down just a little bit more. So we've got that nice little bottle shape. E for extrude, we'll scale that in, E for extrude, and then we'll scale that in again. And then usually with plastic, it's just E for extrude, goes to the middle, kind of just here. And then with most molds you have with plastic, they kind of end right here. So we can do E for extrude right here, S for scale, and then we could do like this little kind of point at the bottom where it may have just been removed from the factory line as such. So you've got that nice little curve right there at the bottom. So now when we're doing the inside of this bottle, obviously we're going to want to select our top face right here. So what we're going to do essentially, if I keep this just here so you guys can see, is we're going to go with E for extrude, bring this down, and all you want to do is just follow the lines of the bottle, leaving a little gap just in between the outside and the inside as such. So let's go E for extrude again. So you go scale. You can make it a little bit thicker in parts because this is plastic and maybe it's not evenly distributed across the mold. Let's go with that one, and then we're going to go E for extrude, bring that all the way down once you've got your shape correct. So let's bring that all the way down right there. And then usually the base of these bottles kind of follows the way that the plastic is at the bottom, because usually when you have melted plastic, you're cutting it off and then you kind of like push it back in a little bit so that it doesn't bulge at the bottom. So let's go ahead and go with E for extrude, bring it relatively all the way down, and then E for extrude again, scale this in, and press G just to bring this up just a tiny bit. And then we're going to go E for extrude, and all you want to do is just kind of make a little mountain at the bottom there. Can you see? Just there. So now you've got this nice little bottle going on. So what I'm going to do, let's go with the screw effect, if you guys want to go ahead and do that. So all you need to do, let's go back to object mode. I'm going to shade smooth with this, right click shade smooth, and we'll go to add. Let's go with a circle. Just going to press G, bring this up. Let's go alpha rotate. And you can do this on any axes, really. You can go with 90. Let's scale this down. Usually, you can get a nice little screw effect with this. And I say usually because usually I make ropes and stuff like that where everything's kind of together. So I'm just going to test this out and see how this works. Let's scale this down just a little bit more just to get that nice little screw effect in there. So you're going to want this right here, and then what we're going to do, let's go to modifiers, add modifier, and we can try and experiment with this a little bit. So you can use curve, I mean you can use screw. Let's go with that one. You can go ahead and add axes with this as well. Let's go as our screw effects. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we do have a screw effect just there, as you can see, but we'd like that a little bit more tighter. And then maybe we could just rotate this by 90. If you're not looking inside of the bottle, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but let's go G there. So this is just one way that you can do it. Let's go 7 to heaven so you guys can see. I'm just going to go on X-ray. So if you aren't opening the bottle, you can have something like this. So let's go S for scale. Just bring that out a little bit. And you can kind of, let's go with that. You can kind of get a screw effect, to be honest with you. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. This is just one of the ways that you can do it. I'll show you the second way in a moment. So let's go with another top to that. S for scale. I mean, it looks okay if, say, like you're looking at it from another angle, but from the top you can't really see the entrance to the bottle. And to be honest with you, I would use this, say, like if this was a prop on the side or something like that. That's what I would mainly use it for. That's the way that I was taught to do it at one point, but to be honest with you, I don't like it. So the other option that we can do is kind of, you can go with add, and you can have curves. Let's see, the Bezier is pretty good at this. So you know what, I'm going to keep this screw at the side. That's an option. Let's put a pin in that. And let's go ahead and add. We'll go with circle again. Let's press G, just to bring this up. Now this is going to require a little bit of concentration, really. Let's make this smaller. Let's press G, bring this down. And then I'm going to go ahead and just rotate it again up on this axis by 90. Let's go edit. F for fill. Just scale that down ever so slightly. Right, so the next one is kind of a curve Bezier. So if we go to modifiers right here, add modifier, we'll go curve. And we can go to object mode. Let's go add, and we'll go to curve Bezier. You'll get the Bezier curve right here at the bottom. Let's go G, bring this up. This one is going to be fiddly. Primarily because of the size of what you're doing. Let's see. S for scale, I'm just going to pull this down right here. I'm going to go ahead and just move this to the side right here so you guys can see what's going on. Let's go with an angle. I'm just going to go to view. Let's go with viewpoint of the left, so you guys can see what's going on. So we have the Bezier, which is here, which is selected just here. Let me just bring this down just to the base point right here. and then bring this to this side right here. So the idea is the Bezier goes around in a kind of coil, and this will be the objects that it will stretch, essentially. That's the way, in theory, it should work. So what I'm going to do, let's go with this. We will go, you got modifier right there. We want to deform axes. You want curve objects. Select the Bezier. Hopefully this works. Let's go to edit mode on the Bezier. You see they've got 1 point right here, 1 point right here. And inside is our object on this point right here. So in theory, when we move this one, yay, that should move with it. Okay, so essentially what we want to do is get this Bezier to go around in a circle around the outside. It's going to be a little bit fiddly, but once you've got it, hopefully it should work for you. So what I'm going to do is you need to adjust the angles of these as well. So press R for rotate. You can adjust that, and then you can pull this outwards just as such. So now we don't want we kind of want a little bit of a face right here, but we don't want too much. So we want this to just go inwards just ever so slightly. We're going to go ahead, take this other side. Let's press G, move this across. We can go R for rotate so that we've got that nice curve coming around. And then just pull it against the side right here. So this is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of trickery right here. So with this, also what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a screw because this just seems to make a lot more sense. So the screw angle, again, I believe we're on Z. Should be fine. We can amend this as we need. Let's go less of a screw angle. So you're going to have something like this. Maybe like a 0 on the angle. I think roughly about there. Okay, so essentially you want this to run across this line right here. So, let's go with this one. So you want the interactions right here. Screw down a little bit more. Some reason this one won't work. Let's go. This is kind of more experimenting, really. I think the more that we do the Bezier, this should follow the line. So let's go ahead and do edit. We'll do E for extrude. On the Bezier, we'll take this round to the side, rotate as needed. E, again, move this across. You're just kind of going to have to just mess around with this. Let's go to object mode again. I'm going to go with, let's click the original objects. Let's go with, you don't really want the screw, so let's put that as 0. Axes objects, let's select the Bezier. Think for some reason it won't do it. You can have something like this, kind of twists, I guess. Let's experiment with this just a little bit more. For some reason that one wouldn't work, but if I can go S for scale and bring this down, we now have this nice little screw going on. And if I get rid of that Bezier, maybe this will work. So let's go with the Bezier. Oh, okay. Okay, let's leave the Bezier. Let's leave the Bezier. Okay, let's go with G. We can bring this more to the center. Maybe. Or we can take the front of this Bezier right here. And we can go edit mode. A to select everything. Let's press G. bring this across slightly. We're a little bit off angle, but we're getting there. So maybe if we select both of them, then press G, move them across so that they're in the center right here. S for scale, bring them outwards just a little bit. I think more with Blender, you're kind of experimenting with what you're doing. So with this, we need to get the correct angle with this. So if we can put the angle just about there, kind of, oops, let's go about there. Put 1.4. And just move this up just ever so slightly. Press something like that. And then just press S for scale. Just bring it in just ever so slightly. Press G, bring this up. And now you've kind of got this nice little screw top that's going on. But I feel, let's go S for scale and just scale this up just a little bit. I feel we need a little bit more ground on this. So let's go for about there. And then we want to pull the screw down a little bit. I think it's just going to flatten regardless of what we do. To be honest with you, that kind of works. I think it's great experimenting with Blender, to be honest with you, because you can find out so many things. There you go. Is that not a screw? Is that not pretty? Just don't get rid of that Bezier, please. Yeah. Is that not what we wanted? If it sits, it fits. And we can also see inside of the bottle. Obviously, we've got some interaction right here that we can amend. But that's okay. Let's go with G. Just bring that across. Ever so slightly. Is that not a screw top bottle? Compared to our latter. Or, you know, our former. If you want to call it that. I would say it's our latter because it's the last one that we made. But our former versus our latter. Is that not better? You can see inside of the bottle, you don't have this going on and you don't have these really sharp angles coming out. I think we could work with that. That looks pretty cool. And we could go ahead. Like, I'm gonna go and delete this. Let's make the lid. Let's go for add, and we'll go for cylinder. Let's press G, bring this up. I'm going to scale this down, and obviously we've got X-ray on this side, so let's go with G. Bring this down. Now what you can do, which is really nice, right? We could have that as the lid, keep that the size, and we could take this. You're going to have to use the Bezier as well. I probably butchered the names of that. But you need this, and you need the screw. Let's go Shift D to duplicate. Move this up. And then we can right click and we can go ahead and mirror this, I believe, on the Y-axis. So now this should now be the opposite side of the screw to this. If you were going to 3D print this would probably fit like a glove. This would probably be pretty cool. I mean, you can experiment with that if you'd like. For me personally, I probably would kind of figure out whether it would actually fit, but in theory, we've not scaled anything up and we've just flipped it. So in theory, it should, if 3D printed, sit like a glove. So what I'm going to do with this lid right here, let's go E for extrude, S for scale in, E for extrude again, S for scale in, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just E for extrude up until the point that I get to the screw, and then I'm going to go ahead and scale inwards just ever so slightly so you're touching the screw just at the sides, and then E for extrude to the middle, giving it a little bit of a gap. And then we'll go ahead and just E-fret extrude it in there. Now, if you did want to 3D print this, you probably have to get this a little bit closer and probably combine a few things. But as long as the screw is essentially the same size, it should work. So, yeah, I mean, experiment with it, because not all 3D projects will work. But what I am going to do for Picture Perfect is turn this lid a little bit as well, so the thumbnail can see what's going on. So at the moment, we have this bottle, we have our nice little screw. We could leave it like that, but to be honest with you, we kind of need the glass coming in here, or the plastic at least. So we're going to go to material. Let's go new. Let's switch up Principled BSDF for where are we at? We want glass. I'm going to go ahead, just turn the roughness down a little bit. The IOR can kind of come down just ever so slightly. You want a little bit of roughness with plastic, because obviously we've not got glass here. With glass, I would say turn the roughness all the way down, unless it's shaded. So let's go with material at the top right here. I'm just going to go ahead and call this plastic. Right there. And then, of course, we want to match the material to this coil as well. So let's go ahead, go to the drop down right here and just click plastic. And now we have the same material right here. This one at the top, I mean, you could just have kind of like its own little lid going on. We can make that kind of slightly, would you say that's burgundy? Nice little burgundy. And then you want to do the coil on the inside as well, which is the same material. So now we have this nice little bottle, we have this nice little lid. What I'm going to do, let's go to edit mode real quick. This lid, I would like to put some ridges on there, so let's take this off X-ray mode. Maybe just there. We are on edit mode right here. Right, okay. So let's go with edit. And, edit mode, Control R. Should be there. Hold on 1 second. Object, yes. Make sure the object's clicked. Let's go Control R. Roll it in about there. Control R, roll it in about there. And all I'm going to do is just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, oh yeah, 16. Okay, so as standard you should have 16 little slots. So let's go E-fret extrude again. And leave it where it is. S for scale. You just want to go inwards, just ever so slightly. And it's just to make that little bevel, just to do that. And then I'm going to shade smooth. Let's go back to standard. Should have something like this. To be honest with you, that looks tacky to me, but let's go with edit mode. I'm just going to go ahead, just scale those outwards just ever so slightly. So there's little bumps, but there's not too much. Okay. Let's see what this looks like with auto smooth. Auto smooth's pretty good for that, actually, I'll admit. So it's not too harsh, but you kind of got this nice little, you kind of get the gist of what it's supposed to look like. So the second thing that I would say is you can place a label on this if you wanted to. You can do this in a variety of different ways. You can place it on the actual object itself. You can duplicate the object and then put the label on the side. You can take part of the object and then put it onto a different layer. Totally up to you what you want to do. I think I'll leave that to your imagination, to be honest with you. But if you don't know how to do any of that, let's go with Control R. We can kind of do this. I'm just trying to show you the simple way. Let's go with S for scale. Just pull those two apart, and then we can go ahead with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe. E-fret extrude. S for scale, just slightly, so you've got that nice little label going on. Ever so slightly. about there. And then with this one, we can go to materials tab, new material, new. And, you know, maybe we could just put the label just like this, assign. And then it should look something like this. I'm just going to go ahead and just amend that lighting and place in a plane. Let's go with G, just bring that up to where we need to be. And then plane there. And then object mode. Let's take that lighting and just kind of put it to the side. It's a very shiny plane that we have. Let's go for exposure and just bring that up a little bit. For this one, I'm just trying to think because it's kind of an odd angle for lighting, I'll be honest. Let's see what's happening with this plane. Oops. Ah, that's why. That's why the plane's a little bit shiny. Okay, so let's just backtrack on that just a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that plane. Yeah, this was my boo-boo. This is my mistake because I didn't come out of edit mode. I thought I went to object mode. It wasn't. So let's go to plane. S for scale. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Right, alright. I must have clicked something on my computer as well because my Blender just kind of stopped working and I was like, oh my gosh, it's crashed, and it's not actually crashed, it's just because Windows is being Windows apparently. Right, okay, so we've got this now. Let's go with exposure, just expose this just a little bit more. Let's press G. Just bring this to the side. And then I'm going to go ahead, Shift D, and bring another one kind of to the other side, but I'm going to go ahead and just shade this one slightly blue. So we've got that. Let's go with the world settings right here. We'll go color. Let's change this to black. And I'm going to make sure that this plane right here is outwards a little bit, so we've got that nice little fade going on in the background. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead, take all of this that we've just made, minus the background, so just double click that off. Or it should be a single click depending on which version you're using. So let's go Shift D, and I'm just going to make another bottle just to the side of this for the thumbnail. And I'm going to take the lid and angle it so that the audience can see it. Primarily because I want that nice little screw to be seen. Let's go with that one. Come on. Just up on the inside right there. Gonna make that screw. So the screw is the correct size. I'm just gonna go ahead and just scale that lid down just a little bit so that screw is kind of nice and tight. Just as such. And I mean, you can have imperfections and stuff like that on these as well, so having that screw dead center is probably not going to be a reality for most products that are plastic. Just kind of move that. Okay, cool. I think maybe some lower lighting on this side just to kind of bring that out a little bit. Let's go ahead and take this. I'm just going to go and Shift D it. And just place this as kind of an under angle. And then so that we have more definition as well, I might just make this slightly red. Oh no, we don't want the object red. Let's leave it as that. We want the lighting Lighting should be red. Come on. There we go. Let's give it that nice little kind of pink tone. Oh, we could go with a nice little blue to bring out some of that detail. Orange. Yeah, I think blue works well. Okay, so as regards to filling the bottles with a liquid, you could go ahead and you could probably put something on the inside if you wanted to. Let's go ahead, actually. Let's take this bottle on the right here, and I'm just going to rotate it. Alpha rotates, and we can just rotate it that way. And what I could do, let's go add circle. Could probably have used a cylinder for this actually, but it's okay, it's fine. So let's go 7 to heaven, see where the circle resides. I'm just gonna go S for scale inwards, just about there. Let's go E for, sorry, not E for edit. Let's go to edit mode, and then we're going to go E for extrude. I'm just going to go on the X-ray right there. Let's go G, bring this up. And I'm going to place it about there. Let's press F for fill, E for extrude. And then we can kind of have a liquid on the inside. And then what we can do, let's go back to object mode. Right click shade smooth. You can have auto smooth or whatever you'd like. Let's go S for scale, bring that up just ever so slightly. So now we're gonna have something like this. Let's go ahead. That circle that we just had, you can click on the menu just up here. Let's go new, and we'll make this kind of like a blue, maybe a blue, and then we'll change down the roughness, pull up the metallic slightly because this is a liquid, and then pull the alpha just ever so slightly just to make it a little bit see-through. So you should have something like this. So I mean, that's a pretty neat little project that you could do if you're interested. I'm just going to pull that metallic just a little bit more. Just about there. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.